how do we as Muslims end up with the highest number of beggars in Nigeria when there is a strong rebuke and a strong injunction against this kind of begging in Islam? Why don't we have these Al-Majiris in Saudi Arabia? Why don't we have them all over United Arab Emirates or Bahrain or whatever? You ask yourself that question. So you can see it's not religion. Because those people don't do this. It's not part of their culture. It's not part of their mindset. It's a lazy mindset that permeated into our psyche and our fabric of society over time, which we need to deal with. This issue of Islam versus Christianity issue.
Right.
Yes, it is a politically injected issue. Because if you go back to history also, there was a time when it was not like this.
Okay.
But it had become worse over time because the politicians now came and took this opportunity of this pollution of the religion to now seize the moment and further polarize the people.
Can you define the northern dynamic in Nigeria's politics? There are a lot of things around the north. You know, there are questions of the number, there are questions of the ethnicity, religion, regional dimension, the core north and the north central. You know, so there are many areas that we can go to. But I want you to define it. What do you mean when you talk about the northern dynamic in Nigerian politics?
Thank you very much for having me, and thank you for speaking about this very important topic. Well, the northern dynamics, I think, since we are discussing this, is about power dynamics, basically. And you've mentioned already some of the key drivers of that dynamic, or the variables, if you like, of that dynamic: ethnicity, religion, you know, the location, that is the geography itself, and the demography, by the way, of the people of northern Nigeria. Very interesting. We'll talk about it later. And the position of the North within the political calculus of Nigeria over time, right from pre-independence, post-independence, and coming down to the Fourth Republic.
Right.
And the role the North has been playing in general, and also when we compartmentalize the North, whether it is Northwest, Northeast, North Central, in the scheme of things, in terms of politics, in terms of governance.
Right.
And then further down the line, we can now evaluate those key issues within the power dynamics conversation, and then talk about going forward.
Okay, so let's take it from the point of view of the essence of politics, which is power.
Yes.
So if you look at Nigeria's history, I guess even up until probably the beginning of the Fourth Republic, there is we've had more presidents, you know, from the north.
Yes.
Clearly, the northern political elites, they have held sway in the country, you know, more than any other part of the country.
That's correct.
So will you say, or will you think that that leadership, you know, the fact that northern elites, political elites have held power, will you say that it has reflected significantly positively for the people of the north?
Absolutely not. We have held sway directly and indirectly, covertly and overtly, both in the civilian dispensation or democratic dispensations and in the military juntas, including pre-independence. And therefore, it goes without saying that the expectation is, first of all, the value the leaders from North individually and collectively have brought to the national, if you like, theater of power, of governance, of administration in moving Nigeria forward, social, economic, whatnot.
Right.
And then you go back and say, how has the opportunity of leading Nigeria more than any other region benefited northern Nigeria?
Yeah.
In terms of the states where those people that led us came from, those leaders, permit me to say, came from, or in terms of the entire region itself? And the answer from me is we have successfully been able to backslide into the abyss of backwardness more than any other region in Nigeria, which is a paradox.
It is.
It is not to say that because someone becomes the president of Nigeria from northern Nigeria, the expectation is he should make northern Nigeria better than any other part of Nigeria. But when we are discussing this, Prof, we must also contextualize this conversation and talk about leadership.
Yeah.
And when I'm speaking today, I'm not just speaking about what I call the focal point leader. That is the leader at the top. That is the president or prime minister or head of state. I'm talking about what I call the leadership value chain in my book. And that is the entire leadership framework. The governors, the parliament, senators, House of Reps, down to the councillors, including the traditional rulers, including the religious leaders, including, thought leaders and other people like us. How have we actually succeeded in pulling back the North? Because we are the most backward in terms of education, in terms of whatever. I mean, I give you an example.
Yeah.
As we are today, we are out of the over 33 banks, international, national, regional banks in Nigeria.
Okay.
How many of them are owned by northern Nigerians? How many of the insurance companies and financial institutions are owned by northern Nigerians? The last time I checked, out of over 30 banks in Nigeria, I think one or two are where you have substantial number of northerners that have stake in those banks. How many of them in the insurance sector? How many of them in the manufacturing sector? Apart from Alhaji Ali Dangote and Alhaji Abdul Samad Isiaka Rabiu, how many northerners that have held position of power or that had opportunity to be in the corridor of power that have actually added that value back to their people by giving back or by making the requisite impact when given the opportunity? How many of the private universities in Nigeria today are owned by northern Nigerians? How many out of these leaders that have led from the presidency down, how many of them actually run private scholarship programs that support their own people from their constituencies, respective constituencies, or from their states, from money from their pocket or money they even stole from government, for example? And yet we have over 10 million children out of school in northern Nigeria.
Wow.
How many of those leaders, for example, have even a pure water running factory in the villages where they come from? Having been most of them, interestingly, 70% of the leaders in Nigeria today, the political leaders, actually come from very humble backgrounds. And you go back and I did an assessment and realized there's nothing. So if you look at it from all that, and when you compare with southern Nigeria, you now realize that there is something amiss. Because it's not just about having the leader at the top from northern Nigeria, which you have had. It's about a leadership value chain. It's about a mindset of a people and the contagious nature of a negative mindset and what it does to an entire generation of people. For example, the Odua Group. The Odua Group is a company that is owned by the southwestern states. Right? Today, the Odua Group has over about 4% stake in Wema Bank. Wema Bank is a southwestern bank, not supported by government. For you to say maybe it's a southwesterner that came to support it, their own people, their own leaders. Today, Wema Bank is a 75-year-old bank that has successfully qualified for a capitalization, 200 billion. They've done that. One of the oldest in Nigeria, right? From Southwest. And the chunk of the owners, 85% of the people that own these banks in Nigeria are from either South, Southeast, or Southwest. I'm speaking to our northern leaders with profound respect and our colleagues to listen to what I'm saying with an objective mind. Unless we do, though, we can't go forward. And by the way, let me put a caveat here. I'm not cutting slack to the other regions of Nigeria.
I was going to say,
Hello, brothers and sisters, compatriots, hold it as a mirror to your region. I'm re-echoing this because having had the opportunity, we should be better as northern Nigeria.
I'm enjoying your analysis, but I want us to make it a conversation so that you can also touch quite a lot of issues. So, do you think that, because I want us to talk about why it is so and then conclude with a way forward.
Okay.
Now, do you think that religion, the way the religion is practiced, not the religion itself, but the way it is being practiced, and I'm just putting this out just to, I want you to talk about the role of religion in where northern Nigeria is today. Or what do you think is responsible for the fact that you've had a tremendous amount of political sway held by northern leaders, at the federal level, and even in the states? You talked about it, human capital development, whether it is health or education, it's terrible across the country, but it's even worse in northern Nigeria. Yeah. In northern Nigeria, we have that tough problem of our Nigerians, who are all over the place. Yes. And we have political leaders, we have rich people, and it doesn't seem to be a problem that can be solved. I know it can be solved, but over the years. So I wanted to ask you, is religion a factor? Is the way religion is practiced a factor, or what do you hold responsible for this situation? Mala.
Well, I say this: religion is not the only is not only responsible for the situation in the north. It is responsible for the situation in Nigeria, Prof. Islam and Christianity. Not because the religions in themselves are the crucial factors, but because of our nature as a people. I keep on saying that Nigerians are very religious people, but we are not godly.
Yeah, I was going to say
now, if I speak from an Islamic perspective as a Muslim, I will not be fair, because North is not just a region of Muslims. It's also a region that has Christians. Yeah. It's a region that has people that are animists and people that are even free thinkers.
Yeah.
But it is safe to say there's a majority of Nigerians that are Muslims in northern Nigeria. But I'm speaking to make us understand that if we need to address this issue, we cannot micro this conversation to Islam alone. There is a lot of importation, whether directly or indirectly, consciously or subconsciously, of culture, of eroded values, and mixing it with religion and calling it religion. Cherry picking the tenets and core values of religion and saying is pretending it's a religion. And that is how we lost our way. And that is how even the religious leaders, whether in the pulpit or in the pulpit, whether it is like in the Christianity or in Islam, you have daily a reduction in the number of religious leaders that can speak truth to power, that can actually guide and be the thought leaders and be the torch bearers of a people, which they should be. That is the beginning of the problem. As a Muslim, I can tell you, first of all, you ask yourself, how do we as Muslims end up with the highest number of beggars in Nigeria when there is a strong rebuke and a strong injunction against this kind of begging in Islam? Why don't we have these Al-Majiris in Saudi Arabia? Why don't we have them all over United Arab Emirates or Bahrain or whatever? You ask yourself that question. So you can see it's not religion. Because those people don't do this. It's not part of their culture. It's not part of their mindset. It's a lazy mindset that permeated into our psyche and our fabric of society over time, which we need to deal with, that ended up with this kind of thing we call somebody, an average northerner that is a Muslim, back in the days will not just send his child off to God knows where and say the man will go and teach him Islam, you don't know where. A child that is 3-year-old, you send them to where? Who does that where? And if you take a sample of Islamic society, for example, so religion, misapplication of the religion itself, and the mindset of Nigerians being not godly but religious is the fundamental issue we have. But when you end up with about 10 million children on the street, they belong to a family, a Muslim family somewhere, of a father or mother, they don't know where they are, right? And that is a fundamental issue. And the governors or our presidents from the north who became presidents are still grappling on how to deal with this issue. So religion has played a role. And of course, on the flip side, this issue of Islam versus Christianity issue.
Right.
yes, it is a politically injected issue. Because if you go back to history also, there was a time when it was not like this.
Okay.
But it had become worse over time because the politicians now came and took this opportunity of this pollution of the religion to now seize the moment and further polarize the people.
So I want us to look at the dynamic in politics, because that was the conversation we were having on Sunday.
Yes.
When you brought up the point.
Very well.
The way it is now in my reading, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong or if you disagree with my perspective, is that the political elites in the north and their allies in the south,
yes,
they use the condition, the social condition, the economic condition, the religious condition, the fact that education is, I mean, you talk about over 10 million, they have turned it into a weapon to win elections.
Yes.
And so you find out that the behavior of the northern politician and the southern politician is the same.
Yes, that's
in trying to exploit. So I wanted to ask, I mean, if you agree with this, what is the way out, or what's your view on that?
Well, it's sad, and that is the reality. Weaponization of poverty and religious diversity, or weaponization of our diversity and poverty by the political class is what is largely responsible. But to key into what I said earlier, while we are speaking to leadership, we should also speak to ourselves. Like I talked about the leadership value chain, talking about the elites. Now we have to broaden the elites, group, and to say, if you have a president like President Muhammadu Buhari that spent 8 years in government, how did the North fare? Right? And compare it with what we are saying now about our situation. As at the time President Muhammadu Buhari, may God bless his soul, left, we had about 133 multidimensionally poor Nigerians. What I wouldn't want us to allow to happen, Prof, and I say this with all sense of responsibility, is that the people that are down there get tired and push back. No number of our armed forces will be able to contain it. Let us not allow that trigger to happen, because people are becoming conscious that so long as you come to parade somebody for election, it is for your selfish interest.
Okay, I mean, that's a very good point to pause the conversation, because we're going to continue this conversation on Sunday.